Can't get this to turn. Can't really get at it. We're going to try and heat around it. We've been using our impact driver and it just ain't moving. I don't really want to drill it. So we're going to try and put a little heat around it. See if it transfers into the bearing plate behind here. And see if we can get this thing to turn. Worst case scenario, the threads are going to strip out. And we'll have to drill it out.
There it goes.
We're going to have to do that on the other side as well.
Yeah, we tried to do that before we heated it, and it was not budging at all.
It's kind of rare, but you know, we did a video for a rear wheel bearing on this car. And if you go and watch that, this all makes sense.
Yes.
It was horrible doing that job. My God, the bearing just would not let loose. All right, so we're going to pull the caliper off, and these are two 17mm bolts here. They're pretty heavy. Oh, I'll get these off. We're going to crack them loose with the 17mm, use a gear wrench, pull it off. This is a dual piston caliper, so we're going to slide it back and try and collapse, you know, the brake shoes as much as we can with the pry bar. This customer has been complaining of squeaky brakes, you know, and they build up rust on the edge of the brakes over here. So, you know, unfortunately, they don't drive the vehicle a lot, but when they first drive it, their brakes are squeaking. And the missus in the household doesn't care for that, so
We gotta fix it.
so thus the husband had to call me, and this is what we're doing for him, so. And he sent me a text message saying, squeaky wife is not happy.
So right now we're collapsing the brake pistons in there.
Yeah, just getting them going a little bit, and I'd like to get the brake pad so that I can get in between the brake pad, and then I can collapse both of them. So they're both collapsed right now, and we're good there. So we're gonna slide the caliper off, sit it up on top. And you know, you look at the brakes, they're in great condition, but they don't drive the car a lot. So, you know, try, you know, you're gonna take these off and grind the rotors, and it's all labor, and you know, at this point, if you're gonna take it off, replace it with something new. So that's the route that we're going. So, but you know, the brake pads are in good condition. But you know, if you put new rotors on and you put the old brake pads on and you still get a squeak, then what? So I like to use the ceramic brake pads so you don't get the squeak, personally, and you don't get the brake dust off of them. And this car is white, so they went with the ceramics. So I'm gonna get the brake bar off right now. It looks like an 18mm bolt in the back here, and then we'll get the rotor off. Yeah. I got a gear wrench on it. Put my gear wrench on there. I can't remember if the last time I've ever had to heat one of those bolts to get the rotor off.
Yeah, it was a pain.
Yeah, it's pretty rare. You know, normally that doesn't happen, but you really need that impact driver to remove that with the T40 Torx bit. Yeah, you're not going to get that off by hand. You got to have something to impact it. Alright, so we're going to get these bolts backed out. We're going to go over, clean up our brake bar, and then we'll never seize the threads on these. And we'll see if this roller just knocks off. So we're going to clean the coating off the brake rotor on both front and rear. I mean the front and the back side of it. Want to get the oil off of it. You smell the oil when you first start driving the car, and until it burns off a little bit, but you don't want it on the material where the brake pads are going to be riding. So we clean this up. We're going to go never seize the hub, and we're going to put the rotor on now. So we want to never seize this all up, and this is where the rim is going to be mounting. You got aluminum wheels. If you don't keep this never seized, especially in New England, if you get a flat tire, it can be very difficult to get the tire off, the rim off. So we always keep this lubricated well. And when we grab the rotor, we're gonna lubricate the bolt we had a hard time taking out right here. Just put some never seize on that. And slip that back in. Okay, let's get this bolt started. We've got the caliper pins here, and they go on last, but we're just gonna lube these up now. We want to get these so that when we put these boots on after, they go in nice and smooth, because this goes on last after you put the caliper on. I just want to make sure that this thing pushes down nice, and it does. Same thing with this one. And you've got one that's got a little rubber stamp on it here, and that one should go on the bottom. I'm going to pull the other one just to double check to make sure. And we'll slide this one in. Okay, all right, so these are all lubed up. We're going to remove the clips from the calipers here. We got to clean these all up with the file. Trying to get the scaly stuff off of it. Just want to feel it. If it feels smooth, you're good. You can see some scale and some rust debris. You want to try and remove it. You're not going to get this thing shiny clean, but you want to be able to feel with your finger and make sure it's smooth. And that's good. Okay, let's get our clips in place. And there. Ah, baby. There's lefts than rights, so you want to make sure that you get your clips on right. So they're all flat and flush, and that's what we're always concerned with. Now we're going to put our caliper pin lube in here. We like the synthetic one. It's got a higher temp rating, so that's what we like to go with. Okay, these brakes are kind of a pain in the ass to put on. They have these clips on them that push on the outside, so normally we put these on he's got a different and aftermarket version of them, and they don't have the tongues on them. So it's the same shape, same everything. So this is the way they're rolling with them. And the clips look a little different, so they're using the clips. The clips are pretty much the same. So yeah, it's a different style, but it's going to work. They just don't have the clips welded on them. So that makes it a pain because they're always trying to push off away from the rotor when you're doing it. So they're the same pattern board and out, so you can slide this in and make sure that it fits in here. Rotate them over. Got one on. Try and get the other one on. Alright, so we got our rotor on. Now we have to, I don't think I lubed my bolts yet, so I'm going to go lube them and then we're going to slip this on. 2 bolts right here. We'll hold the caliper bracket on. We're going to put some never-sees on these, stick them back in there. Keep our boots all lubed up. Put a little bit on the caliper on this side. Alright, this one's ready to go together. The first shot. Okay, these are the 18mm bolts. I'm going to tighten these up. This one's very tough to get on. Okay, that's tight. Now we've got our caliper all ready to go. Collapse the caliper. So we're going to slip the caliper on now and push the boots in. Now we have 2 caliper pins. One of them has a rubber boot on the end of it. That one went on the top. So I'm going to feed this thing in there. That one in there. And this one has a little boot on the top of it. We've already pre-lubed these. So sliding them in together. tight. So we've got everything tight on this. We got our brake pads on. We've got the caliper pins lubed. We got the boots lubed for the caliper. We depress the caliper to get it on. We had to heat the rotor so we could get that T40 stud out, which is the first time we've had to do that. It was just really seized on. Even using the impact driver, it knocked them off. It's probably an oddity that happened, but you should have one just in case it's a T40. And we've got the back of the hub lube for the rotor. We've got the new rotor on. We cleaned the oil off of the rotor for the shipping oil. So this side is all together. You just got to pump up your brakes, and then it's going to be the same procedure on the driver's side. Okay, it's coming off. Pretty tight. All right, so crack that loose. Put some never sees on these, boy. Okay.
Yeah, that thing's pretty tight.
And we've got a 13 millimeter. We got 2 bolts on the back of the caliper here. So we're going to take these off. This one cracked loose. Get that one loose. And take these 2 off. We're going to slip the caliper back. And then we have to depress the piston on the caliper. Everything's rusty on this thing. We're gonna spray this linkage down and everything after we get it back together for the park and brake. But get this all penetrate oil down good. And pry the caliper off. Now this has one of those pistons that you have to retract in here, okay? So we're gonna there's a couple ways of doing this. I have the way that I like doing it. You know, there's a special tool that you have, but you got to rotate the piston down. So you got to stay away from the boot. But we need to get this piston recessed down in here. So I'll show you the method that I use, and there's tools out there, which I have a tool, but it never seems to work as good as I use a pair of water pump pliers and a pair of vice grips that pulls this thing down, and that's how I do them. I'll show you how I get set up for that. All right, so I got my vice grips on here, and just grabbing this, staying away from the boot, just grabbing the piston, and you rotate it, and you got to figure out which way is the right way. If your vice grips are getting loose, then you know you're going the right way. Just to being down enough. I'm going to say I'm close enough. So we slip our brake pads on. We'll know if we have to collapse this piston a little bit more, we can, but it looks like it's down far enough. So this thing is a 15 millimeter. Get the bracket off, and we're gonna get it. We get the rotor getting right out, which is nice. We'll spray clean the rotor, get the oil residue off of it. Do that on both sides. And we're gonna never seize the hub, and then slip the rotor on. Okay, we're just gonna never seize this. This is gonna help you be able to take your tire off. Your tire sits on the hump on the edge here. So if this is all rusty and shitty with aluminum wheels, gives you a hard time taking it off. So
yeah, we're up here in New England, and part of that rust belt, like probably Michigan and a whole bunch of other places, and it's a pain to get things broken free.
Yeah. Then we watch videos from people in California, and everything comes off like it's brand new.
Yeah.
It just kills you. Kills you. It holds the rotor on. I mean, this is really for you know, the factory when this thing's coming down the assembly line. Some people don't put these back on. Not a big deal. So. You pull the caliper pins out. You hold the boots so that the boots come back off of it. Slide these out. We're gonna take these over to the bench grinder and try and get the rust off of the edge of these boots here.
Yeah, look at the ends of them things.
These things are pretty ugly. Okay, the one with the rubber is gonna go to the left here. So I'll do them one at a time. Let me go clean this one up. And then we got our synthetic grease here. So we got our synthetic caliper pin lube. We're putting that on there. Give it a nice coat. Usually like to take a little blob and stick it into the boot so that when I force it in, it goes in there. Just a little bit. So that when I force it in, it goes in. So we clean these edges up. Now I'm forcing it in. And that's nice and smooth. Move this one up now. Knock out our brake pad here. Clips on the inside but not on the outside. Why is that? So let's see if the clip stayed on the brake pads. Yeah, so there should have been 4 clips on this. Maybe the other ones are just stuck to the brake pads.
It's a crusty caliper bracket.
Well, for some reason we were missing some clips here. And these clips are a little different than what they gave us in the kit. We'll see if they're going to work.
Some hack did the brake jobs last time.
So I just didn't put a couple clips on. Alright, so we're going to wire brush this stuff. So the clips slide in there nice. We got a little file that fits right in there. We're going to grab that we can get in here and get any rust off. Alright, let's see what we got for brake pads. Yeah, they look the same. Okay, that's good. So I got one with the rear bar on it. I usually put that on the inside of the brake. Take one here. Now let's look at these clips and see. Okay, that's flat down in there. And we got one for the other side. Right here. Okay, they're flat. That's what we want. Let's do this side here. These got to give them a good push to get them down there. Okay, we get these all down. You're looking to make sure they're flat where my thumb is there on all of them, because that's going to make your brake pads hang up. This one here is up a little bit. That's why it's important to get rid of all that rust. You want these clips to sit down flat. So now we're going to put some synthetic grease in here on the clips. And this is where the brake pad slides, so you kind of want it to be smooth and lubed. We're going to load up the brake pads in this, and then we're going to go over and lubricate the boot for the piston, and then we can never seize our bolts that hold the bracket back on, and we'll be ready to start loading. So this is the inside. So this is going to sit on the truck like this. This is going to be on the inside of the truck like this. It's going to sit in there. So we want I like to put the thing down here, so it's going to be on the bottom, on the inside. So that's going to sit like this. Sometimes you can take the brake pad and you can put it in like this and then rotate it, slide it up. But you gotta make sure these fit in there. Yeah, it's going in that way. So I want the other pad because I want it on the bottom. So it's gonna fit in like this. So these are sliding in nice and easy. Okay. I got my other one that's going to go in here. Okay, so these are all set up to slide on. We're going to go put the synthetic grease and get our bolts set up over there with never seize, and then we can slip this on. Lubricating our boot here. Just want to make sure you get it lubed. This is going to help from it drying out. I just put a little coat on it. Put some on the inside over here. Back down a little bit. Just so that at the edge, you don't want to push it through to stop it from on. Squeeze the brake pads together so they don't fall off. Let's get our holes lined up. These things are kind of pain to start. Once you get one started, it helps get the other one going. Got a 15mm. Tight. Got a little nevices on these bolts for the calipers already. We're good there. Now we're just going to make sure that we collapse that enough and it slips on. So we did collapse the piston enough. And just try and line up the bolts in it. Alright, that one. Okay, both of those, we're going to tighten these two up. We've got all our boots lubed and everything. And you know, the caliper is pushing on these tongues on these brake clips, and that's what was kind of fighting us to push this thing on. So we got those tight. That's tight. All right, so we've got our caliper pins lubricated, and we got our brake caliper. We cleaned it all up, got our clips on all in place, filed everything so it's nice and neat. Got our brake pads in there, lubricated the caliper piston boot, and we have the brake bar back on and tight and torqued. We're gonna spray this with penetrating oil all of this area right here to make sure that this stays working when they go to use the emergency brake. And that's going to finish this up. It's going to be the same procedure for the other side. And, you know, this is a little rusty here in New England, but, you know, we're dealing with it.
And then just remember to pump up your brakes before you start the vehicle so you get a nice firm brake pedal again.